Oh, that's hot. Wow. Yikes. Okay. All right. That's too hot. I don't know how they do that in the movies. Oh. Hello. I didn't see you there. But since you're here, are you interested in Python, the programming language? Me too. Well, let's get into it. All right, guys. We're here to talk about a little bit of Python. In particular, Python on Windows. Today, I happen to have a Windows machine that does not have Python installed. It also does not have Visual Studio Code installed. So I thought to myself, sometimes that can be a little bit of a stumbling block. Getting those two things installed on Windows, how do you go about it with Windows? What's the process look like for the absolute person who's never done it before but wants to know how to do those things? How do you go about it? Well, as it turns out, since my system is clear of those two things, I figured maybe we should do a little video outlining exactly how that process goes, from the install of Python to the install of Visual Studio Code, walking through those processes so you can see exactly what's going on, and maybe I can help explain a little bit on the screens that we're seeing as we go through those installs exactly what's going to be happening. At that point in time, maybe we can just write a little hello world script so we can feel a little bit more comfortable on a Windows machine with Python. So with all of that said, well, let's jump into it. All right. So here we've got just a regular Windows machine with Firefox pulled up to look at Python and Visual Studio Code. I just have these sites up. It's code.visualstudio.com for the editor, and then it's just going to be python.org for Python itself. So to get Python, let's go to all releases. The latest version for Windows, cool, it's 3.10.2. Let's check it out. We'll download that file. And then let's go and download for Windows our Visual Studio Code as well. All right. Fantastico. Now we'll hop in here. We've got our Python installer here. We're going to go ahead and run this bad boy. It's a pretty straightforward installer. Okay, it's going to ask you if you can install now. It includes idle, pip, the documentation. It creates the shortcuts and the file associations, so all of your .py files will open up appropriately, that sort of thing. Let's see here. We're going to add it to the path. And if I understand that correctly, the benefit of having that on your path is that then you'll be able to just type Python into your command prompt, which I'll show you in a little bit, and be able to make Python run that way. Usually the defaults are pretty good. We can walk through a custom installation. Wow, a custom install. And then you can see here, these are the things that would be installed there. Idle is just kind of the standard, the default that comes with Python as a download. So let's see, associate files with Python, sure. Shortcuts and installed applications, add Python to environment variables, absolutely. All of that is pretty good. Like I said, the defaults are very sane. So we're gonna go ahead and install this and see where we're at. We're gonna open a command prompt after this, so we can kind of just see what it's like with just Python installed before we jump into the Visual Studio side of things. All right, setup was successful. We can start an online tutorial, read through the documentation. In your terminal, type Pi to launch Python or search Python in your start menu. Let's go ahead and close this. Minimize these things here. And then to get going, we're just going to type CMD, Charlie Michael Daniel. We're going to pull up this terminal. Now, it said we could type Pi, and we can. Boom, we're in Python. So by typing Pi there, what that does is that boots us right into Python. You can see that we're in Python 3.10.2, which is the one that we just installed. So let's try a simple Python command. Let's print hello world, and it prints it back to us. So Python is installed, Python is working, we know how to operate it. Now we can exit out of here. Okay. Now we can also type Python, that's the full word. And since we added it to the path, that's what allows us to type Python and bring us into it. Had we not added it to the path, to get to Python, you would have to do something like wherever you installed it to, right? So like, let's just say we installed it on the root drive at Python 3.10 or something like that, whatever. You would type this, and then it would jump you into that Python. It would jump you back into the Python shell just as it did above here. So good, Python is installed, Python's installed correctly, it's working. So now, in theory, you don't even need to install an editor. At this point, you could simply open Notepad. Let's see here, we'll open Notepad. We'll write print hello world. You can save this as a Python file. So to save this as a Python file, let's just go to our desktop here. We'll switch this to all files. Okay, and then we will just type in hello.py on our desktop. And there we see it. Now, if we try to run this, it's going to open the command prompt, run the script, and immediately exit that command prompt. I'm sorry, it'll open idle, I think, and run it that way. As you'll see down here, you see it blink because it happens so quickly. It's just printing one line of stuff. It doesn't care. Now, we can also go into our desktop here, and then we can run using either Python or Pi. We can run Python and we can say hello.py, and as we see, it runs our script for us. You don't need Visual Studio Code. You can do it in Notepad if you really want. The benefits of code editors like Visual Studio Code is that they're going to help you along. They're going to maybe have little nice things, autocomplete features, let you know where errors are. They're going to have the documentation. You can kind of hover over a function and it will usually bring up, explode that function to let you know what it does, what arguments it takes, that sort of thing. So they are very helpful, but out of the box, really you just need to install Python and you can do some stuff. It's awesome. So installing on Windows, very easy, very straightforward. You can install multiple versions. If you don't know what version you have, you can just run Python -- version, and it will tell you Python 3.10.2. You can install multiple versions. You can have like 3.9, 3.10, 3.7, whatever, on the same Windows installation. So it's pretty awesome. But as you've seen, it's pretty easy. You download one file, run through an installer, click add it to path, and that's it. And you're good. You can be up and writing Python. It is that easy. But let's go a little further. Let's say we wanted to look at that editor. So let's run through the install for that particular editor. All right, we're going to accept their agreement. And then, yeah, it looks fine. We'll just kind of accept the defaults here. Let's see what we got. We can do a desktop icon. We can add open with code. to Windows Explorer. We can add open with code action to the directory context menu. That's like when you're right clicking and you would want to see something like open with, or whatever. You could do that if you want to. Let's see here. Register code as an editor for supported file types. Visual Studio Code can really, it's just an editor, right? It's a text editor like WordPad or like Notepad or Word or whatever. So it can handle a wide variety of things. It can handle JavaScript files, HTML files, CSS files, text files, pretty much anything. Python files, obviously. Any language you can think of, it can open that file generally. So it's fine to register that as an editor for all the other supported file types. So again, we're just kind of running through the defaults here. We'll go ahead and let this thing do what it do and install. Oh, the coffee's a little cooler now. I can take a quick sip. All right, let's go ahead and finish, and we'll launch Visual Studio Code. So here we are for the first time, dark. Yeah, let's keep a dark theme, huh? All right, we'll just go with that. And let's do this. Let's kind of pull this over here. We'll make this our big guy over here. And now we can open a file. Let's open off of our desktop. Let's open that hello file that we had there. For all workspaces, we're gonna trust this because we know what it is. We're gonna go ahead and trust it. We wrote it, we know what it is. You want to install the recommended extensions for Python. Now, for each language that you're gonna be programming in Visual Studio Code, there's probably an extension or a plugin that is available for that language, and those are going to be the things that help you along. Maybe they'll put a red squiggle under a function that isn't correct, or something that's misspelled, something along those ways, something in that line of thought. So let's go ahead and install it. It's installing right now. You can get to those on this little side menu here. Python is installed, so I'm not even going to worry about that one. Let's see. Let's open the desktop folder here. Yes, I trust the author, sure. So here we are. We're going to look at our hello.py. And now we see here what's going on, that we're just printing. So like I said, it offers a little bit of the niceties. You can hover over this and you can see here, it tells you exactly what it does. It shows you what's happening here, and it tells you it prints the values to a stream or to sys.standardout by default, optional keyword arguments, and there's other things that you can kind of look through here to see what's happening and what it does. Just one of those nice things that having a featured editor like this will make a little bit easier on you. Maybe you wrote a function, you can't remember what it does, but you have documentation on that function to tell you exactly what it does. So you can kind of hover over that and go like, oh, what the heck was the argument I needed? Oh, maybe I needed something, or maybe I'm remembering it incorrectly and it's not doing what I think it's doing. So you can kind of hover over and it gives you an understanding. But really all this is it's a glorified editor. It allows you to just come in here and write a script and save this script. And then let's change this a little bit in here so we have an idea of what that looks like. So we might say, see, again, it helps you out. It kind of shows you what's happening here. So it gives you a ton of different options. You see a bunch of different functions. It's got all kinds of fun attributes, that sort of thing. So we're just going to do print though, and we are going to just say second line, real nice, real easy. Okay, we're going to go ahead and save that. That's Control S, or you can just come up here and you can click save. Either way, doesn't matter. So we're going to head back over here. We are going to now run Python hello.py again. And we see that it prints out both lines. So our script is safe. It's doing exactly what we want it to. So we're good. That's essentially it in a nutshell. Installing Python, installing VS Code, kind of having a rough idea of what they do. Now it's up to you. The world is your oyster, as they say. You can now write whatever you want in Python, knowing full well that it's going to work and work comfortably for you. One other nice little feature about VS Code, though, let's go ahead and close our command prompt here. We're going to let's full screen this guy here. This is a nice to have. There is something called a terminal. Control, Shift, and the... I don't even... It's not a back... It's not a... What is that? That's a... There's a term for that particular key, and I can't think of it. So, all right. Now, when you open the terminal, it will dump you into, like... This is the actual shell that you're in. So it dumps you into PowerShell. But we should still have Python available to us, and we do. So since we're in this PowerShell terminal down here, we can just say, the same as we did in our command prompt, we can just say Python hello.py, boom, 2 lines pop out, exactly what we would expect. So you can then just, you can be working up here, and then you can jump down here and actually execute your code to make sure that it's working. No other need to have that command prompt or a git bash terminal or anything else open. You can do it all right from in VS Code, which is really, really nice. People really like that. That's, again, one of those benefits of having an editor here. I've talked about debuggers before. I've got a couple other videos on Python debugging that you can check out if you look through my videos there. And it will help you understand a little bit on, using print statements and avoiding using print statements when debugging your code. So that might be cool too. If this was helpful to you guys at all, make sure that you are going to hit that subscribe button, like the video, share it with your friends. If you've got some friends who are interested in learning Python and just aren't sure about how to get it all set up on their system, hopefully this video will be a good starting point for that. Otherwise, as I always say, keep building cool things, be excellent to each other, and have a wonderful day. We'll see you in the next one.